I actually saved it for this time of year because I thought it would be perfect for it. And that is how to start the year as a credit success instead of a credit mess, or AKA disaster. I like to say, man, holidays are coming. Like, I heard some stat, people were like, oh, there's only like eight Saturdays before Christmas already. Holiday hustle is in full on panic mode. So let's avoid the panic and focus on the presents. So, how many of you have gone into the holidays, like I said, the best intentions, curated gifts and holiday parties and hostess gifts and matching pajamas and stockings and you name it, right? And never forget, like, all of the organizations you're going to donate to for the end of the year if you haven't done that throughout the whole year. And then January comes around and you are hit with overdraft fees or maxed out cards or credit score that it went like ice skating off a cliff. And I can remember being stressed, snappy, and still having to pay the 29% interest on my toys in July that kids don't even remember by that time. So just really start to think about, like, hey, it comes back to what are my intentions and being proactive with your money. And that's what we're here to talk about at Moms Making Dough, is like, how do you manage and multiply your money, and ultimately really shift your mindset. So today isn't going to be a kind of a combination of both a mindset and a tactical approach to planning your holiday shopping list. And it's a great opportunity for me to talk about the importance of credit worthiness, and really being really good about it. It is one of the topics I find that many people talk about, but the value behind it gets lost and it gets much more tactical. So I want to make sure that we get both today. And so I broke this episode down into sections so I could do that. And we're going to start with just the basics premise, right? Why your credit matters. Even more during the holidays, but just so you remember, not only, like I said, so you feel like you are ice skating off a cliff by the end of January, but credit in mindset for me and the credit worthiness is a big component of being responsible and good with your money. And so let's talk about why it matters, because good credit is about it gives you options. It can give you freedom, and it can also give you peace at times. And I always say, like, when's the best time to get credit is when you don't need it, because when you do need it, it's often hard to get. So when your credit is strong, you do get lower interest rates. And I was just rudely reminded of this by my brother, who just purchased a new truck and told me what his rate was. I helped him negotiate it, which was awesome, and he did a really good job with. However, it also reminded me that I was still at the rate that I paid 2 years ago on my car, and I put a big chunk of cash down, but it did not. So we're all in this together. It also is, when your credit is strong, not only do you get lower interest rates on cars, that's like just a basic example, but also on housing, on business loans. You can rent a house, turn on utilities, and even get better insurance rates with great credit. You can invest. A lot of people will leverage credit to invest, and that gives you opportunities for the future as well. When it's not great is when the holidays become debt with glitter on it that, like I said, you still have by July, but it isn't as shiny. So let's talk a little bit about how you can build your credit, whether you're just starting out or you are a rebuilding phase, or if you're just like me, like a maintenance phase. I like to think about, like, one of the examples I always think about when I think about credit is similar to working out. I feel like I use this example a lot because people can relate to it. But it's like there's three options that you can do when it comes to, training and eating right for your body, for your physical health. One is you can be in build phase, right? Where you're building muscle. Then the second phase you can be in a maintenance phase where you're maintaining whatever result you currently have. Or you can be on a lean phase where you are cutting and maybe even not even this would be where you're probably like, in terms of credit, rebuilding phase. Maybe you have a blemish or something like that, which I'm all going to cover today. The first step, though, regardless of what phase you're in, is knowing your credit score. Check it. Don't guess what it is. And remember that not all credit bureaus rate and review the same way. You might want to look into something called your Vantage score, or if you're like me, you can use Credit Karma. There's so many, My FICO, or Experian. I use Experian myself. I'm not affiliated with them anyway. That's what I use. I have always used. There is definitely a lot more opportunities and apps that you can do that now, but it's so easy, and a lot of them can be free, which I also will cover today. You want to start knowing your score too. One of the things is like every year, everybody gets a free annual credit score report. So since we're nearing the end of the year, this is why I love to talk about this now beyond the holiday hustle is, if you have not already looked at, it's like, go to like something like, my annual credit score, whatever. I don't even know if that's the website, but just Google or chat it at this point, where you could get your free credit score listing, because you want to not only know what that score is, you want to look at the scores that most banks would most likely look at when they're looking at your credit worthiness or the ability to lend to you. And you want to know what that number is, but also you want to see, like, do I have any blemishes? Do I have any inaccurate reporting that needs to be corrected? Because that stuff can take a time. It does work. You can hire a company to do it for you. I've never done that personally, but I certainly have worked with people that have. Don't have recommendations for a company, but like I said, know your score first is number one. And then the second thing, if you're in the starting or rebuilding phase, you want to look at like a secured credit card. So this is like that new company. I think it's called Chime. Again, I am not affiliated with them in any ways. I just have seen their ads a lot of time. For Chime Builder, Capital One offers one. I know that. Discover typically does. There are some companies like that's part of their forte. So let's say you get a card through Capital One and it's secured, meaning you put $1,000 up, and so $1,000 is their limit because it's already paid for. There are some catches to that in terms of like the kid or your child might not learn how to actually like pay down what they're spending on it. But there's totally ways around that. But that is really like just starting small if you do not have any credit. And I also say, like, just a caution here is that like it's really important for you to have credit to establish a credit score. Because like I said, if you want to buy anything, especially in this day and age, you're going to need that. Then the next thing is that like you could do to become build some other credit is to become an authorized user on an account. So let's say your husband or your business partner has a credit card. They can add you as an authorized user. You would have a set spending limit. They would probably pay the account, or you could pay it to build some responsibility for just paying in a timely fashion. Which brings me to the next step that you want to do is if you are established as a credit user, number one, non-negotiable is make sure you set up automatic payments and that you're not accumulating late fees. I just went through this scenario where I got a card for one of the rental properties we got, and they did take that off, especially because it was not one that I've used. It wasn't really my fault once they realized that that was an old account that was no longer accessible and I could not see in my online account. That's because that's how old it was. So even if it's just the minimum balance, the habit of set it and forget it when it comes to payments on time is critical here. And kind of the more ninja, that strategy that I've been working a lot on is I've been setting up intercycle payments, meaning that every week on a same day, a certain amount based on what I know I put on any particular card runs out. So it's not me always chasing from behind of like, hey, this week I spent $533 in the card, so I'm going to go pay off the 533. No, it's I just know about where I fall, and then I put those on month or weekly payments because it breaks down that payment into smaller bite-sized pieces. And this also happens if I'm in a scenario where, and at time lately, this has been happening where it's like I can't pay the balance in full because I've had a lot of expenses. Obviously, your ideal scenario is to always pay your balance off in full, which you can also select as an option on autopay. So that is really just kind of like the critical things that you want to get in place when you are looking to not only build credit, but if you are looking to rebuild and maintain it. So that brings me to maintenance. How do you maintain good credit during the holidays? Now, here is what I like to say is that I like to set a budget for what I'm going to spend for Christmas. I typically will look at the year prior and I'll see like, hey, how many people did I buy for? What kinds of things did I buy? What did I really spend? And I will adjust from then. That helps me set my own credit limit, not the card's credit limit, for what I'm going to be committing to for Christmas, because I already have so many things that run auto pay on a card. So I know about what my monthly is on individual cards I have. And this is the biggest tip I learned last year. And I have let this creep in, if I'm being honest with myself, this last year. And I absolutely have to go, and do this action item when I stop recording this today. And that is this, is remove your cards from Amazon, Target, and Apple Pay, because it is just too easy to do impulse buying when your card is in there. It is so much harder for you to say, oh shit, I got to go find my card. And especially, I mean, in many of my cards, I have full numbers memorized, but some of them I don't. And I've just started removing cards from things. And part of what I did last month as my action item was I removed a bunch of subscriptions I had. And it's so easy to even go on your phone and undo subscriptions. So in your settings, so just taking that same vein of removing subscriptions so that I'll be honest, when I removed subscriptions last month, it was like $300 or $400 a month in subscriptions that I had that I was paying for. And I'm a huge person. This is going to be my opinion, but I would choose memories and experiences over gifts that end up in the yard sale or on Facebook Marketplace any day of the week. So I really make a list of all of the people that I need to expect to give a gift. And then I start to adjust from there. I forgot that I had set up for every 60 days or whatever. And sometimes I don't need them. So that gives me the reminder of like, hey, I need to go turn this off, instead of if I didn't get the text reminder, I wouldn't know that. So create funds or like separate savings for gifts, travel, food, and even giving. So track your utilization in December is going to be a huge key, or November. If you are a crazy person and you start buying for Christmas in July, all the power to you. But like, just track your utilization from the time you start buying gifts, whether that's July or November or Christmas Eve. So track your utilization, and her pie is ice cream pie as of right now. And so she's already in planning mode. So while she reminded me about planning for Thanksgiving, I'm reminding her that we need to plan for who needs gifts, like her teachers and that sort of thing. So she's already starting to learn that. And then you can bet your bottom dollar we'll be starting to be tracking it weekly in December. By doing it now, it also gives you opportunity when you hit Black Friday, or a lot of companies now do Black Friday deals way before they actually like actual Black Friday, which has been awesome. I will start stocking up. Like I even make a list of some of the things that I need to replace in our house. And again, I'll be getting off this recording and I'll be doing my list right there. My husband makes fun of me, but I love it. And this is what I call the exercise I do that I'm just talking about right now is I call it credit check before checkout. And so, like I said, I go and I pull my annual credit report. It's the website's annualcreditreport.com. I know that's the one that you can get it for free. I do believe you can get it for free on like Credit Karma and stuff as well. But again, use whatever service you use. I track mine all year with the Experian app. And I want you to write down your total credit limit. This is the next part of the exercise versus your total balance. Because in a perfect world, you want to keep your balances under 30% of the available credit. Write down next step, anything that's been past due or has some sort of note on it, right? Any collection or errors on your report. And because I want to put those on my list that I want to get those corrected ASAP. And answer these questions next. What can I realistically spend without going over 30% of my credit limits based on my current balance? Where am I choosing pressure over presence? Meaning I feel obligated that I have to buy a gift instead of committing to just being present with people. For example, I have friends that invited us on a weekend away, but like we've spent so many weekends at our cabin lately that, and we have a trip that we committed to for New Year's already planned. You're not broken. You are not behind. You're just a work in progress like all of us are. So if you have a blemish, late payments, like I just said, call and ask the company, whoever holds the card, for a goodwill adjustment. Many times they will do it at minimum at least once. Sometimes they'll do it more than once. I don't have experience with that, but you can just definitely try the late payment. Like I said, like I just did with my autopay that didn't go through. Collections. Can you negotiate what's called a pay for delete in writing? That is when I believe, like I said, not something I've done before, just heard other people do, is possibly where you can get them to delete the debt, and you can negotiate like what you could pay for it. Errors, file disputes with Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Those are going to be the three primary reporting that tally up your FICO score. Max cards. Don't close it. Pay it down slowly to lower your utilization. That is by far one of the best reasons to do that. And I also say when you have a credit blemish too, is that maybe what you might do is you also might look for like balance transfer rates. And because sometimes when people have maxed out cards, what will happen is those maxed out cards will typically be putting over because you can't catch up on the balance, but you're paying interest as well. So just kind of really start to put your strategy hat on if you do have a blemish. Helpful apps for repair. Self Financial. Grow Credit, they help you add positive history. Smart Credit will help you monitor it and dispute. Like I said, I use Experian for that. Rocket Money, track subscriptions and spending leaks. Might be a good thing, an action item for me to go back to Rocket Money though. And the goal of sharing all this is really to help you figure out and feel like you're not numbing out to your money at this time of year. I don't want you to start 2026 in a deficit. So PRESENCE versus PRESENTS. and about how you can really start to think about making a shift this holiday season of like, hey, what are the things, like I said, ask yourself, what holiday memories matter more than gifts do to me? And how can I share those with the other people that I love, even if gifts is really something important to them? In that case, maybe I'd give them a gift instead of that. But really creating stuff where memories can be created is going to be so much more powerful. As always, I am cheering for you and your money making, your money multiplying, and your money management here at Mom's Making Dough. And I hope you will join us next time on this podcast. And as always, if you got lots of information that you would love to share with someone who has not become a listener, I would love it. And if you're feeling extra generous and want to give me one of the best gifts you can give me for would this season would be to always remember that you can rate this podcast, you can review it, which is the ultimate gift, and or at the very least, just hit subscribe. We'll see you next week on Mom's Making Dough.